Good evening, guys, and happy Saturday to all of your sunshiny faces. Well, guys, tomorrow it's daylight saving, so I am not entirely looking forward to that just because we're losing an hour of sleep now. And I was just starting to get so good with, like, this week at least has been a lot better, like me going to bed at least somewhat earlier and definitely waking up earlier. There's been a couple nights where I've still kind of gone to bed very close to the time that I have been, but I've still been waking up early, and then in turn that kind of makes me tired enough to then fall asleep sometimes earlier than by like the next night if I did stay up late the night prior. And then in turn I end up waking up early that following day because I went to bed early the night before because I was so tired. So like I said, I've been doing, I feel like, at least a lot better with like that, especially this week since we've been going walking and trying to get up early so that we can do that, you know, again earlier in the morning and like that kind of stuff. And so, you know, like I said, I've been getting up earlier, and we ended up going walking 3 days out of the week. I think I told you guys how Wednesday was kind of weird, that or was it, yeah, I think it was Wednesday maybe, was kind of weird just because I had to cook that chicken and I didn't have the right stuff, so I made sure that I made it early in the morning, and then by the time Jack was eating and would have been done eating, I probably needed to eat because I don't want to go that long without having breakfast, because a lot of times I will just go on the walk before I end up having my breakfast and then come back and then eat. But I was like, by that time I was like, I don't want to wait until, like, you know, it was probably going to be 11 o'clock or noon almost by the time we get back to then eat. So it's more or less though the coffee for me. Like, I'll start getting a headache if I haven't had my caffeine. So that was what I was a little bit more concerned was going to probably be the problem, was just the not having caffeine thing. So Wednesday we didn't go, and then Friday it was raining like all day yesterday for the most part. And then it's supposed to rain 2 days next week, I think Thursday or maybe Wednesday, Thursday, or Thursday, Friday. So I think we'll only probably be able to walk maybe another 3 days. But if it does rain like later in the day, like say it starts raining late in the day on Thursday or something like that, like at, you know, again 2 o'clock or something like that, like later at least, we could always go walking earlier in the morning, you know, if it's not raining, and then just only miss 1 day possibly. But as of right now, we're, you know, again too, we're at the mercy of whatever the weather is. We are going to go though to the grocery stores tomorrow because I told you guys how my dad did have to go into work for like a little while today. They had to finish something up that I guess they didn't finish one of the other days. I think they were maybe working on Saturday or something like that, but at the place they're working, they like have to do it on the weekends, I think, because they have, I think it's like a factory or something like that. They have machinery going like during, you know, work hours and all that kind of stuff during the week, which is when my dad's normally working. And so they couldn't work on the electric stuff while they had, you know, again, whatever was, you know, going and stuff like that. I think it was just finishing up something, or they had to fix something or whatever it was. But my dad ended up going and doing that, and he was still home early today, like fairly early. Like I think I had kind of gotten up already and then he was home, or he actually might have gotten home a little bit before I got up. But I still ended up getting up kind of early today too, which was good. That's why I didn't have a haul for you guys today, and I should tomorrow. I do need to, real quick, I just realized, finished my Aldi part of the list. Like I went over the stuff that's part of like the sales and everything like that, but I don't think I went over the stuff that is that we needed as far as like what was on the grocery list for this week. So I do have to go and double check that. Other than that though, I believe that I am good to go, and we're good to go into the grocery store tomorrow. At least like Jewel's all finished up, so I might need to take like 5 minutes to go and do that. But I'm pretty much ready to go and take a shower and get to bed. I did also work on more of the photos. I did that yesterday night and tonight as well. I actually think I'm really close to finally being done with all of the like old photos. There's some where I want to just kind of make a like I don't know, like, you know, envelope or whatever, because there are some that I'm not entirely sure about. So or like not entirely sure maybe where some of them should go and things like that too. I don't know. That tends to be what's tripping me up a little bit. Like if I knew for sure, like, okay, these photos should all go here, these photos should all go there, or whatever, like that, it's been pretty easy, like with the ones that I can identify and know. But there's some where I'm like, I really have no clue, you know. And some of the stuff too is just like, it's like a picture of somebody's house from like, you know, again, I don't know, they went and visited or something like that. I'm like, where does that really go? Like where would I organize that or put that photo or something like that, you know? So I don't know. There's, like I said, certain things that I'm not entirely sure about, but I do have a story too that I will share with you guys, probably not today, and because I'll share with you guys the haul tomorrow. Maybe I'll share with you guys it on Monday. Something kind of interesting that came up while doing this, because today my aunt actually ended up coming over. She had something to drop off, because again too, she's like cleaning out her her house because she's moving. That's why I'm going through a lot of her pictures, but also too because she'd asked me last year before she knew she was moving if I wanted to do it, and it ended up, originally she was like, well, why don't you come over and just go through the pictures? And I was like, it's probably gonna take me longer, which it has so far, and just like, you know, like a night or two staying over there to like organize all the pictures, like it's taken me a lot longer than that. And again too, it's just because I want to make sure that I'm doing my, you know, due diligence and making sure that everything gets organized really well. It's not just like, oh, just slap some photos, you know, that are like definitely old photos together and stuff like that. I really want to try and like place things in the right spot. And it's really cool too when you're going through them to actually kind of see too some pictures that I'm sure like, you know, like I kind of reunited them, if that makes sense. Like photos that were maybe separated because, you know, somebody had them in an album, and then maybe there were other photos in a different spot, or, you know, just whatever. And then when you can actually piece those back together and kind of see events that happened like in like a couple different photos is really cool. And like I really like that. And again too, there's a lot of photos like that where they were not like put together, so it was like, oh, maybe somebody's birthday or whatever, like those photos would be in like all kinds of different like envelopes. And so like reuniting all of those photos has been really cool, because you get again to see like, you know, oh, I didn't know so and so was actually at that birthday party, you know, like say it was a birthday party for my grandma, I could be like, oh, I didn't know that my aunt was at that, you know, party, because I'd only seen the picture of my grandma blowing out her candles, but then in a different photo maybe you see her opening up her presents and there's an aunt sitting next to her on the couch or something like that, you know. And so it's kind of cool to get to see those photos though, and the whole progression of like everything that was going on, like, oh, they had a little party in the backyard, and you know, there was, you know, like a you know, cousin that was there too, or you know, something like that. But you get to kind of see the progression of that and like the whole event that ended up happening. There's a lot of photos that was like, oh, a vacation, or like, you know, they went to like the beach for a day, or they went to the zoo or something like that. And you can see like there's a couple different photos from that day of all of those, like, you know, that whole event kind of being like put back together kind of in photos, and you get to see the whole thing through the photos. I think is always really cool. And that's what I really liked about doing when I did our photos, like our family photos, even though again too, these are my aunts, so like 90% of them are also my family photos, you know, and like everybody in them I pretty much know for the most part. I mean, some of them are pictures of like, you know, my aunt's like friends and stuff like that, which is funny though too, because she has had this one family friend that has always been so close. We would go over to their house and do like Christmas every single year. Like they would have a Christmas party a handful of days before Christmas, and I had memories like almost every single Christmas of like going over to their house, and like Santa would come, and like, you know, we'd end up doing like, they'd always do like some type of like either like a pageant, or you know, like a puppet show, or like a piñatas. Like there was always something that they were doing that was like super cool, especially for the kids. But like, I mean, and again too, like then that, you know, we called her my aunt. She wasn't really an aunt, she was like my aunt's like one of her best friends. And then also my aunt, again, my grandma's sister, but then also to my other aunt who's like my great grandma's sister's daughter. We were also very, very close. Like it was kind of all of them. They kind of had like a group, or you know, like a club of, you know, the girls and stuff like that. Like my grandma too, but my grandma's a lot younger, so like, whereas my aunt was a lot older, and a lot of her friends and like even to like those cousins and stuff like that, my grandma was on the younger end of like those cousins and stuff like that. So like she kind of, you know, like it kind of fit in, but she was always kind of, it seemed like, you know, again, the one that was like a little bit more like the little sibling kind of thing. You know, so she just was again too like in the younger group with them, whereas they were all going to like prom and stuff like that, or you know, again, they had high school stuff going on, and most like my grandma was like in elementary school or middle school or something like that, you know. So it's like some of those events and things like that my grandma was a little bit younger to have participated in. I'm not exactly sure though how much older my aunt is than my grandma. Like I want to say it wasn't that long, but my aunt was born right before like the war and right before my great grandpa left, and then my grandma was born after. So there was a period of time in there, like I said, it's several years difference. And like also too in the photos I can see like my aunt's much taller, my grandma's much shorter, but my grandma was much shorter anyway. But it's just like you could definitely tell like my aunt was older than my grandma by several years. But I'd have to go through and, like I said, actually find out in the ancestry like the years, which I've had to do so many times because I'm like, who is that person? I'm like, I know that person, and then like I know the name, and then like I'm like, I have to go and look it up, like, because again too I'm trying to place some of the stuff based on like family and everything like that too. So I'm like, is that on this side of the family, or that it's on that side of the family, or like whatever. And so, you know, again too I have to go through and then I'm like, okay, look it up, you know, or whatever. Or also too if I have to place certain dates, if it says like, oh, so-and-so's second birthday, I was like, ah, gosh, I gotta figure out how old they are to be able to know what date that was, you know, if I have to like place things in a certain, you know, like I said, date or whatever. So anyways, I've had to do a lot of that lately because I have extensive amounts of family history and research done in our ancestry family tree, which is another one of my favorite things to do. And that is where that story, so I'll hopefully share that with you guys on Monday. But it is about one of those things that I have not been able to find out. Today when my aunt came over, I did ask her about it, but I don't know if I really got, she wasn't entirely sure. But again too, it's kind of a story that has some layers and I have to explain a little bit more, but it's one of those mysteries that I've had, kind of like there's a handful of things that like kind of stick out as far as like I don't have answers for these that are like listed on, you know, again to our ancestry like family tree. And like I'm like, I don't know when this person's, you know, like was born, or I don't have like, you know, again a death date for this person, or I don't have a marriage, you know, like a year or something like that, or even too don't know somebody's name or whatever. I maybe only have their last name and like no other information about them or something like that. Like I know that this person was this person's kid and I don't have any other information about them, or you know, something like that. There's just a good portion of that I have, and I need to like make lists of like I need to know this information and stuff like that, and then see if I can kind of reach out to other family members and see if they know or even can give me an approximate. Because a really cool thing with Ancestry too, when you are using it, you can do like circa 1918 or something like that, so that it's kind of close to that at least, or you can just do like circa 1930s or something like that, so that it's like, you know, again kind of would fall in that ballpark. And then if it does have hints for you, you can try and like, you know, again it'll kind of give you a little bit more of that leniency of like, you don't know exactly when, but this might match up because it's kind of around that time, you know, like that kind of stuff. And then also too, if I know that, then I can be like, oh, this definitely probably would be this person, because maybe again too a marriage record matches up with that person, plus the birth date is close to when I thought it was based on what people told me. So like that's the kind of stuff that I really want to go through and try and like pinpoint and get more information about. Because I only use the free version of Ancestry because I don't have like, I don't even know, it is so expensive to have a subscription to Ancestry. Like I was looking, because I would rather like pay for like a whole year, you know, at a time. It's like 6 months and it's like almost $300 for 6 months. I'm like, that just seems like a lot of money. Like I could stream hours of, you know, movies for like a fraction of that cost. I know there's a lot of stuff in there too, but I believe that when you stop, I don't know exactly because again too I don't have it, but I think that if you stop paying for the subscription, like you just have it for like that 6 months and it runs out, you don't have it anymore, you lose most of those like documents that you save. So like again too, like hints, or you know, if you do have like a birth certificate, or I think you can save them like as like a digital copy, but if you just save them as like hints, I think that you just completely like don't have access to them anymore if your subscription runs out. So I want to do a little bit more research, especially if I would ever consider even doing it. But I wouldn't even know really either too, like should I just pay for like 1 month every like year, because it kind of seems like it makes more sense, because then, you know, they might have new and updated, you know, like information, or you know, new documents that they have digitalized and stuff like that. Maybe once a year would make sense. So I'm really big into like our family tree and ancestry and like all that kind of stuff. So to me that it's kind of worth it, but at the same time too, like I couldn't justify paying that much money for for that long amount of time. Like I get free shipping to my house with Amazon Prime for like a tiny portion of that. And there's a lot of stuff too though that I can do a lot of that research on myself and just do a lot of Googling and find out a lot more information without having to have a lot of physical documentation. And again too, from like word of mouth from family members and like all that kind of stuff, I can get a lot of information, and that's what I do have. Like Family Bible has been very important in a lot of the research that I have. And again too, even these pictures are helping turn up a lot more information for me also. So anyways, I'm gonna take a shower and get to bed, but I'll see you guys all in tomorrow's vlog. If you guys did enjoy today's, make sure you guys give the big old thumbs up. If you guys are new, I'd love if you'd subscribe, and I'll see all of your sunshiny faces tomorrow. So bye guys.